Hi there! It is time now to learn how to analyze a keyword within SEOZoom. There can be so many different needs when you want to analyze a keyword, but you may find it helpful to start with the information offered and summarized by our dedicated tool. Here is the main screen. We start with the average monthly search volume, so how many times this keyword is searched on average on Google each month, with an indication on seasonality, including the minimum and the maximum value. Seasonality can also be looked at in more detail by going to the last screen of the row that includes both the seasonality and trend prediction feature. Seasonality, represented by the columns in light blue, indicates from month to month when a keyword is being more or less searched on Google. It is a historical data, so it does not refer to the current seasonality or the seasonality of the year before, but it is an average value with respect to seasonal searches. And it was exactly with the purpose to make its prediction more accurate that trend prediction was introduced. This feature combines historical data with Google Trends, and this way it is able to offer data that could be very useful for us to seize any foreseeable opportunity before anyone else, to plan ahead for an editorial plan activity or a content enhancement. We then have two very important SEOZoom metrics to be able to understand more with respect to the competition and level of opportunity represented by a keyword. The keyword difficulty is a value from 0 to 100 that helps us understand how competitive a specific SERP is, and so how big the competitors are within the top 10. The higher the value, the more competitive the SERP is. The keyword opportunity, still on a scale from 0 to 100, tells us how much our competitors' results in SERP are more or less optimized for the keyword we are analyzing. In this case, the lower the value, the less opportunities there are for us to conquer a rank among the top 10, as the competition already is highly optimized. Ideally, we should look at the data as a whole. In this case, we are looking at a highly searched keyword that is very competitive and has few opportunities. This does not automatically mean that this keyword will never represent a chance for us to take. But certainly, if we are a large portal or a more authoritative entity, it might be easier to go and compete for this specific keyword, as opposed to a smaller and younger website that could instead find more suitable to go and look for an opportunity with a long-tail keyword. We can then see the number of web pages indexed on Google for the keyword, where we can also access the trend to look at its history and how it has changed over time. Then we have the cost per click, so how much advertisers are willing to pay for this keyword within Google Ads strategies, with the values taken from Google Ads and again its trend. An extremely interesting new feature is represented by these two little boxes below, where we can immediately see what kind of search intent the keyword SERP is geared toward. We can see that in this case we have an informational intent. Someone searching for apple pie is probably looking for info on the recipe to make an apple pie, not to buy one, so Google builds the SERP accordingly. And what kind of Google features are on the page? Today, we know this by now, Google is increasingly becoming more of an answer engine than a search engine, and for particular queries, the user's journey may end before they even click on one of the organic results in SERP. If a direct answer from Google is present, the CTR of the organic results in top 10 will be lower. Or here, for example, the presence of a YouTube video listing, video recipes certainly, might even lead the user to an entirely different platform. So, knowing immediately at a glance how the SERP of the keyword we are interested in is structured allows us to immediately begin to understand the type of strategy that might be the most useful for us to adopt. But let's go to the main area, where we can see 4 defined sections: SERP info, competitor info, search intent, and correlated keywords. Let's start with the first one, where we can first see the performance of the SERP, so all the results ranking within the first 5 Google pages. For all the URLs offered, we can both see their general details and the history of how they are performing over time. Should there be any URL changes for the same domain, we will see that represented by these circular arrows around the specific checkpoint. In the left tab, we have the position in SERP, its variation from previous scan, the URL and domain, of course, the domain Zoom authority, that exactly represents the authority of the entire website, and the page Zoom authority, that instead only refers to the individual URL. In the end, we have a contextual menu that allows us to go deeper into the analysis. This is a crucial starting point, as it allows us to see who the competitors are and how stable they are within the top 10. And this is precisely why it will be ideal to continue the analysis by looking at the SERP history. This feature allows us to go back in time and make a comparison with the current SERP to see how the URL placements have changed in order to understand if we are facing a stable or quite moody SERP and to have a bigger picture on the dynamics we will have to manage. Last but not least, here is the SERP analysis in detail, where we fully delve into the information about the SERP and all its Google features. We can then see how the SERP is actually built, what kind of panels are present, like a direct answer from Google or the list of YouTube videos. From here, we can see exactly after how many pixels the first organic results are present and what results are visible after a scroll. Very useful to understand if indeed an organic competitiveness might be suitable for our website, or if it might be more interesting to try to compete with other types of content. Once we have studied and analyzed the SERP, we can go into a little more detail about our competitors. Here we have the first view of the competitors present in the top 10, where we could also add, by entering the URL directly here, our page, if we want to compare it with the top 10. For each row of present web pages, we again find the Zoom authority, the page Zoom authority, the estimated monthly volume of this web page, and the amount of keywords in top 10 and second page. Then we have the total ranked keywords, plus an indication with respect to the length of the main content present within the web page, and the percentage of intent match. In this regard, if we click in the little corner at the beginning of the row, we can see the intent match analysis in detail, with an indication about the optimization that can be made, how the keywords were actually used in the tags, and the amount of keywords with the same search intent present in the text. If we were comparing our URL with the URLs of competitors, this kind of data, together with the immediate check we have here to see if the keyword is present in the title, URL, and headings, could truly help us figure out if indeed our competitors are that much more ahead of us in the optimization of their web pages. Ideally, however, after this initial context overview, the true heart of the analysis should be the study of the search intent. Nowadays, talking about search intent is really important because we almost never dwell on optimizing a text for a single keyword, since by delving thoroughly into a text, we could actually rank for many more keywords belonging to the same search intent. The very first indication SEOZoom provides is whether the keyword we are analyzing is the primary keyword of the search intent or not, recommending to prefer the main keywords. This does not mean that you can never optimize a piece of content for a secondary keyword. In some cases, it could be very useful to focus on a very specific long-tail keyword. However, to speed up some tasks, it can generally be considered the smartest choice. Right after that, we have the total volume of the main intent. So, considering all the keywords that are included in this search intent, here is the potential volume that we will be able to acquire. And lastly, we can then see the total number of keywords with the same intent of our main one, the number of main topics, and how many secondary topics there are. Each piece of data can be expanded in the tables below, where we can see the list of keywords with the same search intent, each with its search volume and average CPC, and especially two very important metrics, SERP affinity and in content. SERP affinity tells us how much the terms we are displaying have a SERP affinity to the main keyword. In this case, this specific term has a SERP affinity of about 80%, meaning that the two SERPs share 8 results out of 10. In content is a value that tells us how much and in what percentage these keywords were included or not in the text of the competitors present within the top 10. It might therefore be useful to use this filter up here to only display the keywords that have been included within the text of one or more competitors, and also sort the column by trying to actually prefer the keywords that have been used by most. Inside the second section, we have the main topics that we can browse summarized by concept by relevant term. For each topic, we can then elaborate in the sidebar what the keywords of the selected topic are. Very useful then for creating content and organized keywords. In the end, we can see what the secondary topics are. Secondary topics are those with which we can create in-depth articles, so separate side articles, or to keep into account while creating an internal link structure. Once our analysis is concluded, we can then decide to add the keyword within a keyword research by clicking right on the Add to Keyword Research button, so directly connecting to the insertion mode here in the upper left corner and finalizing our choice. Or we could click on Add Keyword to add the keyword exactly on the list our insertion mode is currently set on. Favorite keywords in this case. I would like to conclude by mentioning that if we click on the correlated keyword section, we are sent directly into our Keyword Infinity tool, already set on the analysis of the keyword we are interested in, and with the possibility, therefore, of delving into this term with all the features available to us in this section, which we have already seen together within the dedicated video. Keyword analysis is the starting point for so many activities, and there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all way to evaluate or proceed with this type of research. Our suggestion is to, of course, learn to analyze each piece of data in its individuality, but first and foremost, to look at the data in an overall view so that, depending on the goal of your content or the type of keyword research you are doing, you can find the most useful information for you. Thanks for watching and see you on the next video.